When is a date not a date? This is the big question that we need to answer, and the question that is posed in the most recent episode of The Dangers in My Heart. Hi there everyone, Lars here with another anime review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And this episode, this is just one of those many episodes that just makes me feel so good inside. This is just so much good warmth and fluffiness, and yet also, again, just very good, realistic, very relatable writing that I feel is what especially rom-com authors should strive to emulate. The events of this episode are actually fairly simple. Yamada wants Ichikawa to meet up with her on Christmas Day, so that way she can give him copies of her manga, and he can then read them and catch up with them over the winter break, and it'll be all nice. This is the same little line that we've had going on here, where Yamada is finding a way to connect with Ichikawa. Here's some of the manga I really like. Wink, wink. I hope he's getting the message right here. And Ichikawa still is not getting the message because he does not believe that this girl could possibly like him. And because he doesn't realize just how complex of an individual she actually is and just how smart she really is, he thinks that she is not reading the tea leaves or reading the situation at all in this moment, because this is Christmas Eve. In Japan, this is a time for couples. It is a date night. Ooh, the romance. And here he is with Yamada. And he's like, oh crap, this is not a date. It would be nice if it was a date, but I know it's not a date. Meanwhile, Yamada's like, this is most definitely a date. But there, that crucial bit of communication is not there. And that is how you know when a date is not a date. When the two people on said date have not properly communicated that this is what it is. Because Yamada is treating this like a date, but whenever the opportunity to bring that up comes, she passes on it. Ichikawa, who's like, oh my gosh, this is a date, refuses to believe that is a date. So this is a date that is not a date. But like I said, this episode is just full of so much fluffy goodness going on right here. I love how they both show up really early because they're really anxious. They want to be there for when the other arrives. So they get their date started really early. Ichikawa is basically moving around her like a buzzard, trying to see if he can get her attention or to make sure that this is actually her. I have seen this happen in real life. Sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes it's really disturbing. In this case, thankfully, it is a funny bit that's going on right here because the two of them actually like each other. Now then, they go off on their date. Yamada wants to hold hands, but she knows that she's not going to get that hand holding right off the bat, so she forces Ichikawa to help her hold the bag that has the manga copies in it. And I love how she uses that as a means of like, hee, we actually are on a date and you're staying close. And because of their experiences on the train, getting lost earlier on their field trip, she can actually use that as a justification to hold him close as she then takes him on her ideal date of going to a cafe and enjoying delicious pancakes with fruit and cream. Actually, it looks really delicious. Then going shopping and getting him to choose one of her gowns. And Ichikawa chooses a really good dress for her. Looks really good on Yamada, being able to spend that moment together in the dressing room. I don't actually know why this is always such a staple in Japanese rom-coms. This would never actually go over well over here in the West. So many problems that would arise from this. Then we've got Ichikawa avoiding his sister, and basically Yamada uses this as a moment to draw a promise from him of, I do want to meet your family, I do want to get to meet your sister. This is Yamada just once again setting things up for later on down the road. She knows what she wants, she knows what she's after, she's got a plan. And then going on from there, just seeing the lights, spending time together, and then going home on the train together, and so that way they don't get separated, they hold hands. Aw, isn't this so cute? And then they don't let go of each other's hands even when there are no more crowds and they're just walking together. And as far as they are concerned, this is not a date. Yet they are holding hands until it is time to finally part ways. And Yamada puts on her best Santa impression and tries to get a laugh out of Ichikawa, saying that she does not want to wish him Happy New Year. There's still a week left. There's still time. For her, that means that there is still time to spend with him in that year, in that moment, to further develop their relationship. She's not willing to say goodbye, because once you say Happy New Year and move on, well, that's it. No. She wants to relish every moment that she can with her little angsty boy. And that is cute and precious. Again, just a whole lot of fun, romantic fluff going on in this episode. If it doesn't make you smile, if it doesn't make you feel warm inside, I think that you need to go and watch some more Hallmark Christmas movies. Be completely inundated with all of that mush, and then come back here and realize just what fantastic narrative fare has been placed before you. Now, there is a deeper element to this episode, and it's not just all of the funny flirting and the two of them getting to know each other about, oh, you have a family, oh, this is what my mother's like, Ichikawa accidentally calling Yamada's mother cute, making her jealous, and all of this stuff. And it's not even Yamada getting jealous of Ichikawa looking at his phone to watch videos of her, and then her grabbing his face and be like, make sure you're paying attention to the real thing. Woo, that was very straightforward of you, Yamada. Sure, all those things are really great moments, but the deep thing here is them getting to understand each other better. Remember what I said. Because there hasn't been that true communication between these two, a moment that should have been a date, a very nice date at that, ended up not being a date because the communication wasn't there. They're not yet at that point. They're not yet there at that moment. And I would argue that Yamada understands this better than Ichikawa. And sure, one could argue that she could be even more forward and forthright, saying, hey, look, I like you, but she understands, and this is very clear. She tells Ichikawa basically that she understands his personality at this point. She knows that he will only say things that are truly complimentary if he actually means them. Ichikawa's put up all different kinds of walls and barriers. These are walls and barriers that Yamada has run smack face first into again and again and again in recent episodes. And sure, she's been slowly breaking them down, but she's not yet there. But she tells Ichikawa, I understand you a little bit right here. And this implies essentially that she understands Ichikawa's not in the headspace yet to really accept that he could have a romantic relationship with her. For right now, they're just friends, and as far as Ichikawa is concerned, he's stuck in the friend zone. And an important thing to actually note about this here is that that's actually very mature to realize, and it's very mature to not just simply say, hey, I like you, let's jump into a relationship. A relationship only works if both people are committed, and it'd be easy to say, sure, Ichikawa's committed to it, he's got a massive crush on her, all these different moments in the other episodes prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt, but still, if a person's headspace isn't properly there, that I want to be in this relationship, and that I can be in this relationship, and that I want it to work out, chances are that relationship is going to have a very rocky beginning, and it might not go anywhere. Yamada's a girl who's planning the long run. Ooh, she wants Ichikawa to be hers. And if this relationship starts off rocky, with them getting together and Ichikawa's not entirely committed for whatever silly reason, she might lose big. So Yamada is playing the long game right here. She understands Ichikawa. She is going to enjoy these moments with him in hopes that he will eventually accept she does have feelings for me, and there is a chance for me to have a relationship with her. And then from there, boom, the ship can set sail. Hallelujah. The anime is definitely not going to get to that point here in this season. There's a whole lot of the manga still left to cover. But these are the kinds of adventures that make that long journey worth it, because we can see that slow and steady growth, which is complemented with just really great fun moments. Now, like I said earlier, this is very realistic, very relatable writing. You have no idea how many people I've known who have gone on dates that weren't actually dates, or that they thought they were just hanging out, but someone else thought that they were on a date. This happens so often to either people in the friend zone, or to people who like each other but can't properly communicate, or to someone who's head over heels for someone else, thinks that this person knows that they like them, and the other person is completely oblivious. This stuff happens all the time, and usually it ends really poorly and really embarrassingly. What we get right here is this rom-com taking a very real, very relatable moment and combining that fantastical element of what if it actually worked out though? What if these two characters could hold hands by the end of this not date, and that their relationship could progress. That's one of the things that makes rom-coms so much fun to consume, is because they have that little fantastical element where you're like, this is a very relatable moment. This would never actually happen, but I'm buying into the fantasy because the characters and the plot are just so dang good. Ultimately, this episode is not one that's going to move heaven and earth. There's plenty of other Christmas date episodes out there in the world, especially in the realms of anime, especially in the realms of rom-com anime, but this is one that is beautiful, poignant, and just so much fun within the context of the story. And again, I think it's really important that this episode solidifies that Yamada understands what's going on here, that we see that she's still playing the long game, and that she's willing to wait for Ichikawa to fully understand what's going on here. And I think that's really incredible right there, and that says something to this girl and to her sense of maturity and complexity. This is something that we don't get a whole lot of within really most writing for women, and that's just a shame to say. From both east to west, from rom-com to dramas to horror to action, you rarely get to see this kind of depth and complexity for a female character, and where it's actually carried off really well and really respectfully too. The best writing advice that I can pull out from this episode, to round things off, is that if you're going to write a date scene, and this is something I've said before, make that date fun. It does not have to be this grandiose moment of, oh, I do love you, and let's get together, we are now a couple, which is usually how dates are written, or the exact opposite of everything falls apart, drama ensues, tragedy ensues, and the characters break up to either get together later on or to never get back together, because this one date proved for all time that these two could never work together as a couple. That is stupid, that is lame. One way is just wish fulfillment fantasy, and the other is just not realistic and is there purely to generate drama and emotions. Far more realistic and far more entertaining is to write an actual date with the various moments that happen in the date, the mishaps, the misadventures, the highlights, the good things that happen, the awkwardness that sometimes ensues between people, especially when their relationship is just starting off. Those kinds of things are a ton of fun, and you should not deny yourself the chance to write those kinds of fun moments, because they're just, well, they're so good. So that would be my writing advice, especially if you're writing a rom-com, or if you want to write a scene where characters are just having a date and having fun. And I'll tell you this, writing different dating chapters across various stories, the times where I've had the most fun writing a date is where I just wrote a date with all of the things that come with it, like I just described. That's a whole lot of fun. I did that recently for a Cruzy Deltarune fan fiction. I just wrote a date between Susie and Chris, and it was a whole lot of fun. There wasn't any sort of big moment that was leading up to. It was just a date. Other times I have written a date that was supposed to lead to this powerful moment, and it was just so overloaded with stress, and you just had this weird incongruency between the very heavy moment and then all of the light fun that came before that, which, yeah, you can pull off, but sometimes it's just, once again, it's not as much fun. So, stuff to consider as a writer. Now, that will do it for this review and analysis of The Dangers in My Heart. If you've been keeping up with this anime, great on you. If you just clicked on this video and you've watched all the way through, hey, thank you for hanging out with us. Definitely check out this anime. It is absolutely worth it, especially if you're someone like me with your cold, dark soul and stone cold heart. Oh, this is the good stuff. This is stuff that reminds you why it's so great to be human. So, if you'd like to support us in the work that we do here, please like, comment, share our video. If you haven't done so, we would love it if you subscribe to our channel. But if you would really like to help us out, please check out the books that we've published. Links for them are in the description below. You can check them out, their descriptions, their prices. We would love it if you buy them, if you read them, and gave a review. Seriously, that would help us out a ton. But otherwise, we're grateful that you've joined us on this fantastic, sometimes romantic, sometimes fluffy journey that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.